What's up, Metalheads? This is Christian Metalhead Brotherhood, and this is the Christian Metal Vlog. This one is going to be about whether men should have long hair or not. And we're going to go over kind of like what the Bible says about it. We're going to read a verse that people use to argue that men should not have long hair. 1 Corinthians 11, verses 14 through 16. And we're going to read this real quick. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. That's why I kind of sound like crap. Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him, but that if a woman has long hair, it is her glory? For long hair is given to her as a covering. If anyone wants to be contentious about this, we have no other practice, nor do the churches of God. People try to use this verse a lot and saying that men should not have long hair, and from like what I understand, I don't think the point is the length of the hair. Looking at it, it was more about the culture, and that's just here. I'll read a little more describing the verse because it describes it better than I could. In talking about head coverings and length of hair, Paul is saying that believers should look and behave in ways that are honorable within their own culture. Notice culture. Cultures are very different. From time to time, culture is never the same. It always is changing. It's different in different parts of the world. But anyways, in many cultures, long hair on men is considered appropriate and masculine. In Corinth, it was thought to be a sign of male prostitution in the pagan temples, and women with short hair were labeled prostitutes. Paul was saying that in the Corinthian culture, Christian women should keep their hair long. If short hair on women was a sign of prostitution, then a Christian woman with short hair would find it even more difficult to be a believable witness for Jesus Christ. Paul wasn't saying we should adopt all the practices of our culture, but that we should avoid appearances and behavior that detract from our ultimate goal of being believable witnesses for Jesus Christ while demonstrating our Christian faith. So again, it has to do with the culture, and in that time Paul was writing about, in the Corinthian culture, like it said, men with long hair were often associated with male prostitution, and women with short hair were labeled prostitutes. So if a Christian man had long hair, then people would see him as a male prostitute and think that the church or whatever was okay with that. So that's the point that he was getting at. And more of it was because, to fulfill the commandment, love your brother and love your neighbor as yourself. To new believers, if they saw, Christians that were, looked like male prostitutes in that time period and that culture, then they would probably, it would be like a stumbling block to them, and cause them to leave the faith, and things like that. So I think that's kind of more what the verse is about. I don't think it's legit to say in this day and age that it's wrong for men to have long hair, because like I said, in some cultures it's considered masculine, especially like a lot of cultures, like men with long hair and beards is considered masculine. So that's not a legit excuse to say that men shouldn't have long hair and to condemn it and stupid stuff like that, and to say it's not honorable. Because honestly, God is more concerned with our hearts than our appearance. But we're gonna dig a little more into this, and just kind of some reasons people think that it's not okay for men to have long hair, or like that's not natural. What this verse is saying, it wasn't really natural in society, I guess. Some say women's hair naturally just grows long, and men's hair doesn't. And some people think that's what Paul's talking about, and that men's hair naturally just falls off at a certain age. It's not really a fact, because men's hair, it does grow long. That's just natural, just like women's. It's no different. The only reason, in some societies it's shorter is because they cut it. I think some people try to use this verse as an excuse to say that God is not okay with men having long hair. It's very clear that when reading the Bible that God is, you're not against men having long hair. Otherwise, he would have never instituted the Nazarite vow, which was for, to never cut your hair. There were other things, but and looking at the story about Samson, Samson did several things wrong. That he violated several of the vows that he was supposed to keep as a Nazarite. He drank, he touched dead things. Whenever he killed the 1,000, he did it with the dead jawbone of a donkey. So, and whenever he didn't ever lose favor with God until his hair was cut. So I don't think God is, against men having long hair. So just like another point, just like I said, God cares more about the state of our hearts and not so much our appearance, like it says here. God sees not as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. So, yeah, I thought I'd give you that verse just to back up what I'm saying. I don't want you guys... Don't take my word for it. Go check it out in the Bible. That was 1 Samuel 16:7. Yep. Okay, but anyways, let's look at kind of what Paul talks about, like what is natural. Like we said, in the culture, it was a pagan practice and was associated with prostitution. So when Paul was talking about that what is natural, he was referring more to that time period and what was natural for that culture. And I said earlier, like, culture never really remains constant. It changes and it's different in different parts of the world. The thing that Christians should focus more on are what the fulfillment of the law is, and that's love. To love God and to love each other. I feel like we kind of get so focused on all these other small rules and laws, and they don't really apply to us. They apply to people in different cultures. Like what I was once told, I think at a Bible camp, was all the Bible is written for us, but not all of it is written to us. So, this part of the Bible was written to the Corinthians, during that time and that culture, and it was written to Christians who lived in a time where long hair was associated with prostitution in males and short hair, the same for females, and it could be a stumbling block to other new Christians. So that's what Paul was saying, so that they didn't cause other Christians to stumble. And the whole point of it was to like the fulfillment of the law, which is love. The whole point of it was to love the neighbor as yourself and not putting a stumbling block before them. Any other command in the Bible basically falls under those two laws, which is love each other and love God. In a recent vlog that I did about judgment, we actually talked about that and how the fulfillment of the law is love and stuff like that, so you can go and check that one out as well. Anyways, like I said, a lot of the laws in the Bible are only applicable to a certain culture at a certain time and a certain people. The main laws never change, like the fulfillment of the law is love. Sorry about that, guys. My camera battery died and had to change it. But anyways, I was talking about how Paul discouraged man from having long hair, basically just to fulfill the second commandment, which is to love your neighbor as thyself. In that day, men with long hair was often offensive to believers because it was often associated with male prostitution and paganism. But the same is not true today, and I think we all know that that long hair is not associated with male prostitution now, and that doesn't really apply today. I think when like it says, it was offensive, it wasn't like today, with all the snowflakes in our culture, like, that are offended by every little word. It was like when it says like offensive, it's more like it caused new believers to turn away from Christ. Like that was like more of an offense, not like, oh, you hurt my feelings, or I disagree with you, or I don't like that. Like, it was not like that. Jesus was not afraid to offend people. He offended a lot of religious leaders. And I think more of the point was, causing new believers to stumble. Just to recap, in Paul's time, social nature or society considered it a shame for men to have long hair or for women to have short hair or be bald. Modern society does not. And also, God's nature and biological nature do not consider it a shame as well. It was, during that time and that culture, and things are different. So, the question basically for this video is it a shame for men to have long hair or for women to have short hair? And no, it is not. It is okay for men to have long hair. There's nothing in the Bible that is against it. Common sense reading the Bible, God is okay with men having long hair. It is very clear that he is okay with men having long hair. He would have never, like I said, instituted the Nazarite vow if he wasn't okay with men having long hair. In some cultures, it is very masculine for men to have long hair. Part of the thing was that I read is that men should look like men and women should look like women. And some people argue that, men with long hair look like women, and I very strongly disagree. I have a lot of women jealous of my hair because it's more curly, and, men with long hair, are still different. Men's long hair looks different than women's long hair. Especially men with, beards. I would have a beard, but I can't grow facial hair. Guess it's just in my genes. I would totally have a long beard if I could. Rather than, establishing legalistic standards of length of hair and, molds that Christians have to fit into, I think what's more important is the condition of our hearts and, our reverence to God and worshiping Him. It's not about our appearances. God, like I said several times in the video, God's more concerned with our hearts. You look at someone, don't really try to look at their appearance. Think more about the state of their heart and what they're maybe going through in life. Check out my other video about judgment. Shouldn't judge it by appearances either. There are guys out there completely covered in tattoos, long hair, piercings, who are all out more passionate Christians than most people in churches today. So don't judge by appearances either. That is it for this Christian metal vlog. I know I've been kind of doing more Christian stuff, and I'm going to try and work on some more metal themed videos in the future. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe and comment below what you think. If there are any ideas or topics you'd like me to talk about in this series, comment below. If you have any questions comment below, and I do Q&A videos whenever I have a lot of questions. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Christian metal forever. Bye. Doodle-doo.